Good afternoon, everyone. Happy National Transfer Student Week. My name is Ashley Roseborough, and we welcome you to our CLC Connection for STEM. Today, we are joined by a special guest who I will be introducing momentarily, but I did want to go cover some few housekeeping items before we get started today. As you all know, this is an opportunity for you to engage, ask our guest speaker questions. They are a seasoned UHD alumni. They were with us some time ago and now they're back home to connect with you all. So please ask as many questions as you would like about their experience here at UHD, about their career, about the work that they do, or anything you would like to know about the STEM career field. And you can ask questions in our chat box for our online viewers, or if you are visiting with us in person, please raise your hand, ask your question out loud, and Ms. Young will be happy to answer it. This is also being recorded and will be made available to you at a later time. If you would like to rewatch it, share it with your peer, you're more than welcome to do so. So without further ado, Ms. Dominique Young, we're happy to have you today.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
And you are a passionate STEM educator with an ELA curriculum expert, currently teaching 5th grade at Lockhart Elementary School.
Yes.
Mrs. Young received her bachelor's in psychology from UHD and her master's in education from St. Thomas here in Houston as well. The Voyage Houston magazine recognized you as a trailblazer of Houston. Merging your STEM and curriculum knowledge, you created a coding and robotics curriculum for students in underserved and overpopulated areas.
Absolutely.
Your nonprofit My Girl Code Coding and Robotics Club placed 3rd in the 2021 Technology Student Association National Conference. Some dope stuff right there.
I don't know who this person is.
That's some dope stuff right there.
I don't know who that is.
In addition to the many great things you're already doing, you have teamed with Google and Microsoft working on projects that transform traditional classrooms into technology laboratories for high impact learning. Your equity-forward approach to teaching is developing lifelong learners all across Houston, serving as an agent of change, fostering computer literacy within students that will benefit their lives and the STEM fields. We welcome you today.
Thank you. Hey, introduce me anytime. That was powerful. I didn't know who she was talking about for a minute.
I can send this to you if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You wrote an amazing cover letter.
Oh, I wrote that?
I took it all from your cover letter and your resume. So well done on that.
Well, thank you. Wow. It's I'm kind of reflecting right now. I've been pretty busy.
Yes.
And I didn't realize how busy I have been. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff for one person to do, but it has been an amazing adventure. And I am so just elated that I was able to transition in the STEM field. And, it's so true. The saying is that it's not a lot of females in the STEM program. We don't have a lot of scientists, technologists, engineers, mathematicians. We tend to go the other route, which is teaching. And granted, I am teaching, but I think for the longest time, I felt as though I had to choose teaching over STEM. And I mean, I'm going into education about 12 years now. So that's a very, very long time. However, I did, in my own moments and, with my own money and funding and things, I was just like, I like coding. I like programming. Mm-hmm. I can put together a website and have people pay it for me. And just speaking quite honestly, I grew up in a neighborhood not far from here. This is considered downtown, but I grew up in 3rd Ward, knowing that there were universities around me, but I still chose University of Houston downtown. Because it afforded me the opportunity to work full-time and then also attend school full-time. And so I dabbled and dabbled with computers then, but it was mostly at home in the comfort of my own home where I discovered that I could code or that I could do web designing and, things of that nature. And so I have to thank COVID. And I know that's, COVID has done some horrific things, culturally and into our population, but it opened up the door. It literally broke down the door for me to go through and really begin to kind of open up with my STEM journey. And it has been incredibly amazing thus far. And for me, it's the underserved students. As I was sitting at home when the school called and said, hey, you cannot report back to work, my first thought was, okay, well, where are these kids? You know, what are they going to be doing at home? What can we do to keep them learning? Because the generational gap has not gone anywhere, and it's not going anywhere. And so this is only going to make it wider and wider and wider. And computers was the first thing that, you know, district level people decided, hey, give everyone a laptop. I'm like, okay, well, what are they going to do with the laptop? You know, what if they don't know how to power it on? It was just simple things that needed to be taught first. Once I started, you know, working with the teachers and working with the district level admin, I was like, okay, they're not just going to log on and want to know about reading. They're going to want to know something fun. So let's incentivize them getting on the laptop or getting on the Chromebook and doing their reading and their math. And so one of those was working with scratch.mit.edu. And so partnered with them, and then also partnered with our STEM director at the time, amazing lady, Shayna Glass. Thank you so much for taking me under your wings and just allowing me to just blossom and throw glitter everywhere. But working with Scratch, and then also meeting some of the people who still work with Scratch. But I wanted to go a little bit further. The students, I didn't want to just meet people who worked on Scratch. And if I am going over your head in terminology, please let me know, because I'm saying Scratch, but does anyone even know what Scratch is? Not a clue. All right. This is what teaching does for you. It helps you kind of do student monitoring a little bit. But so Scratch is a online coding and programming game. It is really the basic level of coding. You do not have to write anything in like JavaScript, in which you have to write in your code. But with Scratch, you simply put the pieces of the puzzle together in order to get your automated GIF or your automated image to be able to function and do whatever you want it to do. And so I added that curriculum. I built it and said, okay, if they do this, then I want them to code. And then once they pass that curriculum in coding, then I want them to be able to program robots. And so that's pretty much how the Girl Code came around. And that's how I became affiliated with Girls Who Code, because we noticed that it wasn't a lot of girls that were signing up. It was a lot of the male students who wanted to participate. And so I just said, okay, no, I'm making a huge announcement. I want this district-wide. I want our girls to be able to say, you know, I don't have to go in the area of teaching unless I want to, but I can really go out and be an engineer, or I can be, you know, a scientist. And so just opening up that door for them, allowing them to meet the people who helped create Scratch and that are still working on Scratch. And I think you mentioned earlier Google and Microsoft. It was one of the most just amazing experience having Google come inside of our classroom and work with our students and teach them some coding skills, but then also broaden their knowledge. Like we had a person who worked on ATM machines. They just thought that doesn't have anything to do with STEM. I say, yes, it does. It has a lot to do with STEM. You have to be able to program that machine. It has an input and it has an output. And that's kind of like how I explain, you know, coding. You have to input your information in order for your output to be, you know, your product and things of that nature. But it really, I want to say it was hidden. And what I'm trying to do, it was hidden for me for years. What I'm trying to do in my nonprofit is to bring it out of young women and say, hey, you have a voice in the STEM community. You know what I mean? If you want to be an engineer, if you want to program, if you want to come up with the next latest app and make 30 million at the age of 12, I'm going to be behind you. I'm going to take a 15% cut because I helped hone that, you know, that skill. But it's interesting to me that here in the US, it's not a lot of young students who are programming or coding, or even engineers for that matter. You know, you see it more so in countries, you know, like India, or even in, you know, the Asian population. You really don't hear of a lot of US citizens that are coming up with these apps that we are faithfully using. And to have that, I believe the youngest coder right now is of Indian descent, and he is 7 years old.
Oh,
He is 7.
They not on TikTok.
No,
Willy-nilly.
he is actually working with Microsoft.
wow.
He is working with Microsoft. And when I shared that with my group of middle schoolers at the time, they were like, "You mean to tell me I could become a millionaire and not go to college?" I said, "Do you know who Mark Zuckerberg is? Like, do you know who these people are?" Like, no, I want you to go to college. More specifically, I want you to go to U of H downtown. Okay. So yes, I do want you to go to college. I want you to get degree. But go have some fun in STEM.
Yeah.
It's a lot that you can do. So
There's a lot of information. I'm trying to figure out
I know
where my question should go.
I was trying to figure out where to start.
No, you're good because we don't really have to use the question bank anymore. So it's all good.
Oh, yay.
How do you, in the age of technology now, how, as an educator, how do you get students interested in technology beyond social media?
Mhm.
You know, because TikTok and Instagram, it has our attention.
Yes.
It has young people's attention.
Mhm.
So how do you bring that into the classroom or get students interested in the world of STEM outside of the phone?
Mhm. You know, it's so interesting, and I have a personal story to tell with that. My niece is actually going on 15, but really 25. And I also have guardianship over her. And you know, when you get excited about something, you're like, "Oh, I'm going to pass this on to my kids." And so I was like, "Kennedy, look, I bought a robot." And she's like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, this robot costs $200 something. Like, come on, let's put it together." And she's like, "No, I don't want to." I'm like, who doesn't want to put together a robot? Is it just me? Am I that geek? Like, am I that geeky? Like, you know, I was like, "I'm cool." And she's like, "That's not cool." And then she pulls up a video, a TikTok video that she created, and blew me away.
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, yeah, I think this is a little more fun, but how about you create like your own material and then sell it?" Do you know that some of these TikTok users who have like over 1 million views, they're actually being paid for that because they're getting advertisement. They're getting people to come to their TikTok page and be able to, you know, have their information there, like L'Oreal and all of these other makeup companies and stuff now. They're paying these young kids, these 13, 14-year-olds that are coming up with this content, that are curating this content, and you're not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
You know, and so with that mindset, I merged it with STEM.
Okay.
And so, and that is my approach in the nonprofit. Hey, I like TikTok just like the next person, but how can we make some money off of this? So let's go into the mind of development. Let's go in the mind of, you know, engineering. You know, engineering is not just, you know, working on a car or, you know, working on a computer set. You can engineer a whole bunch of ideas without even actually physically touching stuff. So it's the brainstorming and the analytical skills that really come into play. And so what I do is I love incentivizing everything. So
we do too.
Right. Like you know, that's it, because quite honestly, we're in a generation right now where it's like, okay, but what do I get? What do I get out of it? You know, and I'm like, you get smarts and you get, you know, you eventually get money if you work hard. But so basically what I do is I walk them through what I would like to call scenarios in the world. And so it's so funny, I did this yesterday with the all girls group that I have called Lockhart Divas, and I give them scenarios to work out. So one of them was friends are fighting, one friend introduced a friend to another, and now that friend that introduced them is no longer a part of the picture. They're now best friends sitting at lunch together, talking on the phone, and this other friend is left out. Okay, how would you solve it? Well, I would pretty much like go and talk to them. Well, what if you're not a good talker? Then what do you do? And so it's just asking questions and questions and questions. And I said, do you know you just built an app? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you just built an app. You built an app to help young teen girls be able to communicate. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, let me show you. And then going and get those products. Like I love Microbit. I'm not shouting you guys out, you haven't paid me. So, but I love microbit because it gives you different devices, many robotic devices that you can program to where you can, do things like communicate with someone else. So I had a student who was quiet, who didn't know how to communicate their feelings. And I said, let's program this little microbit to be able to show your emotion to that person. And so, yeah, the microbit, and I'm so sorry I didn't bring any, but the microbit would show like an emoticon. And it would tell that person, just as simple as it is, but it would tell that person like, hey, you said something that hurt my feelings, or I miss you, or something of the sort. But then in addition to that, they can program it to where it actually says what they cannot. And it goes across the microbit screen. And, taking that concept and saying, okay, I know that helped you in the real world, but how can I get you to look at this futuristically? How can you take this and apply this as you are getting older? And so it's like, okay, I'm not pushing you to go and get a degree in STEM or science or anything like that. But, just think of it as STEM is just not this isolated area that only boys get to go to. It's the boys club. It's like, no, it's a club for, everyone. It's a one big mixing and melting pot. And so I think just equating it with dealing with real life circumstances, it was very popular with my older students, my middle school and high school students. They took it and they ran with it. They came up with dealing with social anxiety. A student created a social anxiety app where it was very personal. You could go in, you can type in the feeling that you're having, and then these beautiful phrases would pop up, literally would pop up for that student. And so instead of, being so inside and, dealing with things on your own, that app, that little bitty microbit was able to help that person and also do countdowns, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, or even breathing. It helped so much with anxiety. It opened up a world for me because I didn't even know children were experiencing high anxiety levels that a actual adult would. And so for her to make that app, it was quite amazing. So getting them into the field of STEM and summation is just really merging it with real life experiences and allowing them to see the great benefit of it. How does it help them? But more importantly, how does it help the world? And quite honestly, that is really the philosophy of coding and programming, is how is this going to impact the world? And you can ask Google that. That's pretty much what they're going to tell you. And Microsoft is going to say the same thing. We code, we program so that we can help the greater good. And if you are raising little, children that have, minds to think for themselves, they want to have a greater role in the end. So they'll buy in.
Awesome. When we first met, when we first connected, you were at a different campus. Can you share with us your current position, what you do there, and how you were able to transition into that role?
Absolutely. So right now I am working at the Great Lockhart Elementary School. It is actually in 3rd Ward, so I'm happy to be back home. And I was offered the position because right now we have a very special need in the area of reading. And as much as I love STEM, it is my baby, I still get to do it outside of work and even within work. But right now we need a lot of strong teachers in reading. We need a lot of strong teachers in math, especially in our underserved populations. And so I was pulled back inside of the classroom so that I could utilize my ELA skills, my literacy skills, in order to really catch the students up. Because to explain it this way, I'm working with 5th graders, but they're actually in 3rd grade. Because around the time when the pandemic came about, they were in 3rd grade. And so to have an entire year and then another year of where you are not going into a physical school, I don't care if you have a MacBook at home and an iPad and 2 Chromebooks, you're not getting the same learning that you would had you been in school face to face. And so when I was approached with the idea of going back inside the classroom, I said, of course, as teachers, you have to make those sacrifices. You have to make the best choice that is going to help the kids in the end. It's not about you. It's not about you being comfortable. You have to do what's best for the students. And so I transitioned out of Aldine ISD. I came back to HISD, and they hired me on as a reading interventionist, but I became a classroom teacher, strictly teaching reading to 5th grade students. The trade-off, though, was Lockhart is also known for their STEM program. So that was something that I was very, very excited about. And I said, okay, well, I still get to play with computers. I still get to play with robots. I just have to teach reading. No problem. I'm done. Like, sign me up. I'm here. And so that was pretty much the transition. And so I do have an all-girls club on campus. It's about 12 or 13 of them. And they are very eager. And I'm like, you got to walk for, you got to crawl before you walk. But they're ready to get to those robots that I brought over. And so I'm like, no. You got to show me you can read first.
Yes.
Once you show me you can read and that these comprehension skills and these analytical skills, I can see you progressing, then yeah, we can go code and we can play with robots all day.
Awesome.
Sounds fun.
Do we have any questions in the chat, Mackenzie?
Not yet.
Okay, we have a question couple of questions from the audience, and we will get to them. We'll take one right here.
I volunteer at the Highlands Middle School, and I teach second graders to read it in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you connect with them? Because sometimes it's hard to connect with them. Like, so I was like, I'm gonna connect with my kids.
Gotcha. Yeah, I tell all teachers that, in my class, everybody is an ELL. and if you guys don't know what that means, as an English language learner, even the students that come from underserved populations, they are English language learners. They are learning the English language just like, our students that are not from communities like Third Ward or something like that. But to answer your question, it's a great question too. Coding is really a universal language. And so just like how the other minority students were acquiring that language, as well as my ESL students were acquiring it as well. And so one of the components of scratch.mit.edu is that they could change their language. So instead of doing it in English, which didn't help me none, because if they did something, I'm like, well, that's in Spanish. I can't, read it. But they were able to change the language over and they could understand the directions better in the instructions. And then they were able to produce an amazing product, whether it was animating their name or something of the sort. So with coding and programming, with just programs like Scratch or code.org or Hour of Code, it will allow the students to put it into their language. And one thing that I love about coding is just the imagery that you can add. Because I know one thing that helped ELL students is that you have to provide them with some type of content in which they can see it. And then they also need something they can hold. So they need something concrete in their hand and they need something that they can see so that they can make the connection. And so that's pretty much how I approach that situation if I have a class full of ELLs. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, awesome.
You don't have a question? Okay. Ms. Young, your educational background is in psychology, which is a science, and in education, which is science in itself, teaching students.
Very scientific.
It is. For those who aren't going the traditional hard science route, what advice do you have for us to getting into the STEM fields?
Yes. Do not let that deter you. Like I did. I had a family that said, no, you're going to be a psychologist. You're going to go make a lot of money. And
As a psychologist?
Yeah, okay. This was my mother. My mother, I kid you not, when I was growing up, I played school every day with my friends. And they had to play in order for me to, come outside and play with them. That was the rule. And I was always the teacher and my brother was the principal. That was our thing. But I knew growing up that my calling was in the area of education. I knew it was teaching. So I was pushed and nurtured in that way. And so my mom came up with this grand idea to be a psychologist. And so I did not get my bachelor's in education. I took those hard classes and I graduated in 2.5 years, which is amazing.
Yes.
I was about business then. I was like, I'm ready to get out of school. I'm tired. I was going to work full time and I was going to school full time. And so to answer your question, no, I did not have a personal life. It was wake up, work, go to school, eat, try to eat, and go to sleep, and then repeat. That should be on a t-shirt. But I mean, literally, that was my life for about 2.5 years. And so I want to say I was a bit brainwashed. You know, I wanted to study computers. I really wanted to code. I wanted to be creative and you know, see how it would impact the world. But I was taught that teaching and being a psychologist, those were better, you know, positions that, you know, that you could do. And so once I began to dispel that, I was just like, okay. And I did consider, do I need to go back to school for this? Do I need to go back to school to be an engineer? Do I need to go back to school to be a technologist? And the answer is no. I believe that it is a skill that you can hone yourself. The best advice that I can give anyone is get you a professional mentor in that area and allow that person to take you under their wings like Shannon Glass did for me and say, okay, you're in this area of STEM. Let me help you navigate and really do what it is that you love to do. Absolutely. And so to answer the question, no, you know, you can get your degree in pretty much anything and still be able to operate in the field of STEM.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Kenzie, do you have any questions? Because y'all were talking earlier before we went live for the event, and you said you had many questions to ask. So
yeah, just like how you went from you're able to have these different backgrounds, but yet still indulge in like the STEM. So like I know you're like the programming. So just like how like you say getting like a professional mentor, like how like where like how would I approach
great
a
question.
professor with that? Like how do I find that? Like because like if I'm in English right now and I do love STEM. I came from STEM to English. I still would love to do STEM. I love research, specifically in like marine biology. So like how would I find that professor and be like, hey, like, you know, this is where I am, but like I have a passion to this. Like how would that look?
Yeah, well, I know for me, I just reached out to the director of the STEM program in Aldine. And I had already been, you know, working in computer science and teaching. And I remember I put up a tweet up of us doing something with coding. And she reached out to me and she said, you know, something about you is different. I was like, well, I'm different. I like to go throw glitter everywhere. I always say that. I love glitter. And she's like, okay, well, I want you to throw your glitter over here and then over there. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, no, I want to stay right here in computer science. I hadn't even thought about robots at that time.
Wow.
Right. I hadn't thought about it. That was something that she introduced to me and said, okay, well, you know, if you can code this, then you can program a robot. But I went to her. And I think one of the best emotions you can have as a human being is hunger. If it is something that you want, you go and you get it. And I live by the notion that I do not tell myself no. So instead of being rational and saying, hey, well, let me walk this out. Should I do that? I'm like, nope, I'm going to go ask them, hey, yep, I may not be nobody, but I love STEM. I want to be in this area. Would you like to be my mentor? And you would be surprised. People want to help because they realize that, you know, honestly, that's how it gets started. It's by connections and it's by networking. So if you have someone on this campus that you know that you can go and talk to, literally just walk up to them, strike up a conversation, and just like how you told me, say, hey, I'm here, but I want to be here. How can I do that? And, you know, hopefully that person will say, you know what, I got you. Let's do this together. And then you've also met me. Hopefully I can help in some capacity, in some way. But I encourage myself and I encourage my girls, like, be a go-getter. If you see Mark Zuckerberg, literally, I mean, okay, let's just take him out of the equation. Let's see if you saw your favorite rapper or your favorite R&B or your favorite football, basketball, whatever. This person is literally just walking down the street, no bodyguards, no anything. You're just gonna walk by? Or are you gonna stop and ask that person for an autograph? Instead of asking them for an autograph, how about you ask them for the solution? How about you ask them for whatever they did in order to get to where they are? What's the formula? And so that's what I instill in my students. And it's something that I continue to instill in myself. I don't think it's happenstance that we meet people. I think we, connect with people in order to make further connections and in order for us to get to where it is that we're supposed to be in life.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you gotta read it. And email people. You'd be surprised. I never thought I would Google, of all people, would respond to me, but I was like, I know you guys have a program where kids come and they get to, walk around your campus. Have you ever thought about actually virtually going inside of a school? And they were like, no, great idea. Let's do it. And so that's pretty much how it happened. I am nobody. But when it comes to those girls and it comes to those students, I'm going to be whoever they need me to be so that they can have those experiences that they would not have. Honestly, they wouldn't have based on their zip code.
Absolutely. Great question. Great question. Beautiful response. Ursula?
Okay, so my question is kind of like some advice.
Yes.
I've been fortunate enough to come across a group that is distributing the broadband tablets, right?
Okay.
And so I dived into it because they're mainly targeting the underserved community. And I'm like, yes, no, you guys will need it. But when I'm approaching these people, it's like I almost have to beg them to take it. And then they're like, well, we can do YouTube. We can listen to music. Oh, yeah. But it's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. It's so much more. You can do job search. You can do so much with it. So what would you say to them?
Oh, man. My heart goes out to you. It does, because it is, man, it makes me think about the time when I worked at Generation 1, which is a school nestled right in the heart of the CUNY homes. And it offers an amazing program for the 2s, 3s, and 4s. And we were giving away stuff like Chromebooks and computers and all of those things. But the attitude was, we don't need it. We don't need it. And I'm like, yes, you do. But how do you say that without offending? They thought that we were offending them. They think that you are offending them, and it's that poverty mentality. But it is also that I have enough mentality. Does that make sense? Like I have enough. Like we have, they can work off their phones, or I don't want to take your handout because I'm not poor. You know what I mean? And so, and it's not, and I've had this conversation before, and it's funny that you asked me this, but I had an actual conversation with a parent, and I said, ma'am, I'm here to help you, like I'm literally here to help you. Is there anything in life that you want to do? We can watch YouTube on our phones all day, but what is something that you want to do? I'm noticing your eyelashes. Did you do them yourself? Oh yeah, I do eyelashes in the community. I have a door. I can open this door. Well, did you know that you can create a website for your eyelashes? Do you know that you can register yourself and have a business for your eyelashes? And do you know how you can do all of that stuff with a laptop, with a broadband laptop? I mean, right now we are we're on the fast track to technology. I'm honestly projecting by 2023, we're probably going to have some artificial intelligence going on here, walking around and greeting us.
You got the inside scoop with Google. It's that inside Google scoop.
No, I'm reading. As an educator, I always have to read, and I have to know what's going on in my field. And they are working on actual robots.
They already have in Japan.
Thank you. Yes.
They have that girl too. Yeah.
I don't know if this is appropriate to say. I can't say it, but this robot, the first robot that they are thinking about creating is for people who do not have a significant other.
Like her, like the movie.
That was that movie Chick 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was so taken back. I was like, wait a minute, you can create a robot to help senior citizens or something like that, but you're gonna create a robot to help a lonely person, like when they can, well, we can't go out because of COVID, but wow. And then I started thinking about it, well, am I gonna end up with a robot? Because I'm really busy and
Put too much water on it.
right. And like, you know, I'm like, I can't go out and date. I'm scared. I don't want to do online dating or any of that stuff. But, you know, I'm sorry to get off topic, but so sorry. But to answer your question, it's because they feel offended. And it's because
like you said, the world is changing, and what Joe Biden did with that bill, the broadband, he kind of like put everybody almost at the same level.
yes.
And it's like, okay, you have to grasp this because you're gonna get left behind.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of why I got into it. So I'm like, okay, what can I say? I will use those small business tactics.
Oh yeah.
I'll try to smooth them.
Yes. Like I was saying earlier, make it relatable. Make it something that they can say, oh, I can do that with this. Okay. And look at it that way. Just like how they said, oh, I can watch YouTube. Oh, I can make money off of this. I can like really put together. You can do a host website. And I start teaching people who want to learn how to do websites. I put them on hosts like WordPress or GoDaddy.com and all that kind of stuff. Just to keep it easy for them. But I mean, it's gonna be something that you're gonna deal with. And it's gonna be from family to family to family. But if you find that connection, if you find that piece that you can relate to them with, that's how you're gonna hook them and reel them in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a great question because I know what you're dealing with.
You are a UHD alumni.
Yes.
And before the event, we were talking about Taco Bell on campus. Share with us your time at UHD and how UHD has evolved since you've been here.
I mean, wow, I was walking through UHD. I have not been on this campus in, I want to say a few years. It's not because I don't miss it. I love UHD. But it is so different. Everything is lively and colorful. And there was this one elevator that I think I came up this elevator. You cannot get off at floor 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's the.
It was a first floor and then a 4th floor. Now you guys have a 2nd and a 3rd floor that you can get off at. Me, I had to walk down the stairs. So you guys are very spoiled, by the way.
It don't really work, so I don't think we're.
Oh, it doesn't really work. I'm kidding you not. I got on and one of the custodians hit floor 2. And I was like, wait a minute, like what if
that's where student activities is at now.
I know, and it's always been there, but I was like, but I couldn't get to student activities on this elevator, like I'm being serious. So it was, it was one of the things that I came across as I was walking up. And then I definitely have to go to the 3rd floor, see what's going on there. So I need to see the big change if there is one. But one of the most, memorable things about UHD was getting my 3 taco supremes from Taco Bell. And I would literally get a Sprite, or no, I think it was Mountain Dew. They don't sell Sprite.
Baja Blast? Was it the Baja Blast?
I don't know what it was, but it was a Sprite.
Okay.
It was a Sprite. And I would go and sit out on a patio. And I would just sit there and just look over the bayou and look at the trees and read, Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology. Is that something I'm gonna go into? No, absolutely not. But taking it at in an English class, and I'm a novelist. Like I love novels. I don't, as much as I love computers and stuff, I don't want to read anything off a tablet. I want to open a book. I want to smell it. I want to turn the pages and stuff like that. And so I would take my school books, or I would take, whatever I was reading for leisure, and go out there and have my tacos and my time to myself. I don't know what it was, but it was a routine. Like I had to have those tacos. I think it's probably what helped me graduate. But it was, and it was also Smoothie King. Oh man, it was what is it called? The strawberry. What is that popular Smoothie King drink? Not the whole. No, I can't have the whole. That's for men. That's too much protein for me. I don't know if it was the strawberry paradise or something. But everyone used to get this drink. like everybody would get this drink. But here was the issue. We would arrive to class late, but we would have a smoothie. And so the professor's like, you weren't stuck in traffic. You were in Smoothie King. Like you were waiting in the line at Smoothie King when you could have, been in class. I actually had a math teacher that locked me out.
Over a smoothie.
Over a smoothie. I wonder if he's still here, but yeah, he locked me out, taught me a very valuable lesson. To get to Smoothie King earlier. Because, that was my life. It was either Smoothie King or it was Taco Bell. It never, I can kid you not, every day that I came, which was Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I even had Saturday class, guys. I don't know if you guys had that. No, they took away Saturday courses?
What?
Maybe.
I know that very few
wow.
students have even classes on Fridays, and if they do it on Fridays, it's mainly those lab classes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man.
but I know a lot changed because of the pandemic of how.
Okay. That's probably why I graduated in 2.5 years.
Saturday class.
Yep. I was here on Saturdays. I was here Friday night till like 9:30, 10. I didn't have a life. I was young. I was like, 19, 20. I could do it. Would I do it now? No. Absolutely not. But what I love about the evolution of UHD is that they've added more programs to you guys' list of programs. And I was looking at the website and I was like, wait a minute, that wasn't offered when I was here. Maybe I probably would have, took a detour and went this route. But this program, is something that's amazing, that's new and that's fresh, and that's going to be able to help the students here at University of Houston downtown. And I mean, it's just, I miss it. We need to get the Taco Bell back, but everybody's like a foodie. You got to eat healthy, so I understand the Starbucks, and I'm almost positive that downstairs in the food court is something healthy.
Yes. I mean,
Chick-fil-A, no. Y'all don't have like a juice bar.
No,
we don't.
See, okay, you have a salad bar. We didn't have a salad bar. We would have a French fry bar, but not a salad bar. Oh, I would totally go crazy at a French fry bar. But no, I mean, there are little nooks and crannies here that I could show you guys, like where you can go and hide out and just have that time to yourself. Right, there are. Like, is it the 9th floor? The 9th floor is still open, or is it the 8th?
It's still open.
The 9th floor. Literally go and sit on that window area right there and work and literally watch the sun go down. It is so relieving of stress. It allows you to get in the mindset of studying.
Where's?
On the 9th floor.
Molly, I'm gonna go.
I know.
On the 9th floor, as soon as you get off the elevator, you go to the right, keep going all the way to the right, make a right, and you should see it. It's like nothing but.
Like a coffee shop, something.
Wait, they put a coffee shop on the 9th floor.
No, I think that's
Wow.
the library. That's the 40,000 windows spot.
Mm-hmm.
But that was that open?
Yes.
It was, and now it's closed now in the library. Yeah.
Well, okay, can't show you that spot. But there are plenty more that you can go to. I actually found one driving when I got lost. I believe it's by the UHD police, and you can literally see the bayou right there.
Yeah.
Like that's a perfect spot to go and study as well. That wasn't open to me when I was here. So, but yeah, I think UHD is keeping current with what's current, and I think that's amazing because you're just attracting a different generation of students also. And so it's important that you continue to evolve for the needs of your campus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. You also joined a community while you were here on campus.
I did.
I'm gonna call it a community. How is finding community and finding sense of belonging impactful to your college experience? Because we are a commuter campus.
Okay.
So you found connection to be on campus outside of academics. So can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I joined this community my junior year. It was very debatable, quite honestly, because I was like, do I want to take this chance and be of community and socialize and go out to all of these social events with my
You
community.
can name drop them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're good.
I didn't
You
know.
can name drop them. Yeah, we're good.
But yes, I joined the illustrious sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Sorority Incorporated, and it was one of the best decisions that I could ever make here on the UHD campus. Shout out to Omicron Gamma. But in joining a sorority, it really did bring about a feeling of sisterhood, because I really didn't meet my sister until I was, older. And so, but I always knew that I was really big on just working with a community of women, and being able to solve worldly issues, or really just to hang out and have friends, to be quite honest. I am naturally an introvert. I am right. Like, I don't know where this speaking out in public and stuff came from. I just got put out there and was like, all right, let's go. I'm a person, like, you put me out there, okay, let's go. We can do it. But I knew joining a sorority and a community, or with any type of group, it can be of academic as well. And I highly encourage that as well. But I knew that it would just be in addition to the great stuff that I was pretty much already doing. And I knew that I would have help and then be in a position to also give help to my sorority sisters as well. And so it really made the year go by so fast. We had a lot of fun. And also, your professors are a part of the community. Like, literally, how fun is it to, be a part of a community in which the person who can grade your papers.
Touche.
Really. And so the principal that I work with now, she is my sorority sister. It makes my workday so amazing, because we get to just talk and connect and collaborate on, stuff about our sorority. But at the same time, it also opens up a network for you. And I say this in all honesty, because it's very true. When people are looking at your resume and they see those last 4 numbers at the end of whatever name you put, they are going to forefront your resume. And it's not just with sororities. Like, what is it? Psych-Chi is something with psychology that I had joined at UHD. I'm not sure if it's still here, but it's a psychology organization. And so I was a part of that as well. And so when you're out interviewing and you're looking for those jobs, I guarantee you it's going to be someone that is in a community. It may not be the same community, but it's all community, it's all family. So
Get involved, y'all. Get
yeah.
involved. And
Yeah.
I think one of the best things about the ATA program, it gives you an opportunity to get involved and at the same time provide what you're looking for, a space to come study, a space to come meet people, and it not be in a structured way. It's pretty lax in here. This is y'all's space. This is community in itself. So continue to foster spaces of community for y'all while y'all are here. And thank you so much, Dominique, for touching on that.
Welcome.
Describe 3 things that have been most important to you in choosing a career.
The first one is, am I going to be satisfied? And I hate it. Growing up, people would say, you need to find a career that you can do for free. I'm like, who wants to work for free? That was my mindset. And so it's like, no, if I find something that I can do for free, then I don't need to do that, because in the real world, we're taught you have bills, you have things that you have to take care of. But that is so true to your mental and your social health. Get in a career that you can do for free, meaning get in a career that is something you can stay up all night just doing. The hours have passed, you didn't even know, but you've been doing it for the longest, and you're like, okay, I need to get some sleep around here. That is what's going to make your days waking up worthwhile. But you're still going to have to do the mundane things. You're still going to have to do the stuff that you don't want to, but you do the things that you don't want to, so you can do the things that you want to later, if that makes sense. So I would say the first thing is truly make sure that this is an area that you're going to be happy in. The second thing, absolutely look up how much you can make. That's your livelihood. And that's very, very, very important because you want to be able to support yourself, future family, future endeavors. One of the most important things is that you want to be able to invest, which is my segue into the third thing. Are you able to put in an investment and get a return in that position that you're going to be in? And don't look at that career as something long-term, because as you can see, just from me, I thought I was just going to be a teacher and that's it. Be open to change and be open to that. You may have a very large career change that's going to come up and it's going to shock you, but you're going to be happy about it. And it's just a piece of that puzzle. That's all it is.
I like how you mentioned the return on investment.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we look at the salary, but we don't look at, long term, what that looks like. Benefits is a return on investment. And, just having stake in the company or organization you're working for is an investment. So thank you for mentioning that. It puts into perspective for a lot of us, things to consider as we're looking for our jobs, as we're looking at these compensation packages, because that is a part of it.
Yeah, and you could ask for that. And that's another thing that I just want to touch on very lightly is don't be afraid to negotiate. Don't be afraid to ask for more. Absolutely do not be afraid to ask for more, because I guarantee you they probably have it for you. But if you don't ask them, they're not going to give it to you. So absolutely negotiate. Ask for added things to be a part of your happiness. Just like how I took the position with Lockhart, I asked to be a part of the STEM program because I knew that was something that I loved doing. And so now I get to give back to my community, but I'm also still doing something that I love.
It's a great example. Great example. How do you navigate your work and life balance?
Well, right now it's just work. There's no life. Yeah, that is something that I'm working on. I got a Pelleting bike, so I have a new community that I'm joining, and these people are eager. They will literally text you at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, ma'am, I'm not up for spin class. Like, no, I don't exercise in the morning. But yeah, like I'm searching right now for ways to be social and safe. And so Pelleting was one of those things that I could hit two things at one time. I could lose some weight, and then I can also meet a community of people that will hold you accountable too. So, but that's pretty much how I'm navigating it. And I'm trying to spend a lot of more time with my family. Okay. It was something that honestly was brought to my attention. I had no idea. They're like, you're doing all this wonderful stuff for these young girls and for your students, but you don't get to spend time with you. And I'm like, that's because I'm tired. I want to go to sleep for about 12 hours. But, I had to I make that time for them. Yes. And we go shoot pool or we go bowling. And another thing that I love to do is cook. I love getting my family all over and just standing in the kitchen cooking and playing, with different recipes that have been passed down. And so it's right now just being very intentional. Awesome. Stepping away from the computer, stepping away from the lesson plans and saying, you know what, I'll get to that later, which was very, very, very hard for me to do for a very long time. Why? Why was that? Oh, man, as much as I program robots now, I feel like I program myself into a robot. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'm going to relate to someone, but I feel like I am. When I was a director and when I was a principal over a school, I was literally a robot. I had to have everything perfect. I said the perfect things. I did the perfect things. And that led about to mental and social destruction very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so I began to learn how to detach and say, if the school burns down at 12 a.m. and I'm asleep, there's nothing I can do about that. I cannot stay up worrying if my school is going to be here in the morning. I can't do that. I have to go to sleep. Can't take calls after a certain time. Yes. Have to put that do not disturb on. I mean, people who are in Fortune 500 companies and people, especially men who are brokers or who work, on Wall Street, do you know they take a 10 to 15 minute nap? Yeah, they take a 10 to 15 minute nap. Yes, but they need that 10 to 15 minute nap just as much as a teacher or just as much as a mother who stays at home with her children need 10 to 15 minutes in the pantry by herself. It is a matter of life and death, okay? Those 10 to 15 minutes allow you to breathe, regain yourself, come back, and do the work that you need to do. And so I'm also really big on mental health and all of those things as well. And so, yeah, we'll be dabbling in that as well eventually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a fun Peloton name?
Nope. It is Young 1908. I tried to put like, my real name, but obviously there's another Dominique Young out there. I would love to meet you, but yeah, it's just Young 1908. It's so funny. My boss asked me the same thing.
You have to have a good Peloton name.
Okay,
Like
maybe I'll change it. But
no, it's because when they shout you out, it's gonna sound good all the same.
oh no.
Because if you like,
Okay, so this should let you know that I have not used Peloton yet. I have not used it yet, so I didn't know they were gonna shout
they
me
shout
out.
you out.
Thank you for letting me know that. I
Your
need to
first
change it.
ride.
I know what it's gonna be.
Yeah, your first ride, your 100th ride, 250 ride. If you riding strong, they'll shout you out. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna call me Khaleesi.
There you go.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mother Dragon.
It was that. It
Yeah.
may be Mother
There you go.
Dragons.
Mother
See?
robots. or
I learned
robots.
something today. Okay. All right, Peloton, I'm ready for you. I'm ready.
You gonna be ready for 6 a.m.?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll be hopefully sleep, but well, I don't know. My boss wants to do it with me and she mentioned in the
Awesome.
morning. So again,
Awesome.
community,
Yes.
accountability. Yeah,
Yes.
we're getting there.
Awesome.
Yes,
awesome.
ma'am.
So not necessarily related to STEM,
Mhm.
but were you already teaching? Or how did you get into education?
Yeah, I was already teaching.
Okay.
I started my teaching career in 2010. As soon as I graduated, my mom was very shook. She did not understand why I was not going to get my doctorates. But I was like, listen, lady, I got a bachelor's, leave me alone. I'm gonna go and do what I want to do. And at that moment, it was teaching. I really wanted to be a teacher. And it just so happened, like I said, everything is a puzzle. And that puzzle gets complete, once you start adding different experiences in your life. And so once I started walking in that area of education, STEM really came to me. And it was because I was given that opportunity and I was ready for it. And I said, okay, let's go. Let's do it. And so teaching, that came about through University of Houston, of St. Thomas. And so I did that. I would have done it at University of Houston downtown, but I thought they were sick of looking at me, which I know is not true. But I'm big on diversity. I wanted to diversify myself. And I knew that just getting having an HBU perspective, but then not also being so stuck in that too. I know HBCUs are popular and they're getting a lot of light right now, but also don't forget about those private universities too, because they make a difference in your journey as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Stacey. Great question.
And teaching is awesome if it's something that you're looking into. And you can also teach them.
In your experience, what are some challenges you have witnessed or experienced yourself in your career field, and how did you overcome them?
Oh man, some challenges was, what we were talking about earlier, getting, people in a certain demographic to understand what their place is in society. That's hard to tell a person, hey, you're on the lower scale of the socioeconomic pole. It is a surprise to them that they don't even know that they're impoverished, that wealth and education is literally either getting your GED or getting your diploma. That is the end for them. And having to go in or build a platform or an organization to come in and say, hey, no, that's not it. There's so much more that you can do. That is a task. And for anyone who is doing that successfully, I'd like to meet you because it's a formula for it. And you have to be a people person also. And it was one of those things where I didn't want people to know that I was from Third Ward for a very long time. Because I didn't even talk like I was from Third Ward. Didn't look like I was from Third Ward. And so some people thought I was from California. I didn't even know where they got that part from. I was saying, we're born in California. Definitely not Laguna Beach. Trust me, I don't think I would be in Laguna Beach. But I had to share my testimony. That was hard. You know, but once I learned that my testimony was helping people and that women were coming forth and saying, you know, I want to go back to school. And I didn't know that it stopped at Jack Yates. I didn't know that I could go to UHD and work too to support myself. I didn't know I can do that. And so I began to share my story more and more and say, you know what, I came from an impoverished community just like you, and I'm sitting here talking to you. Like, look at that full circle, right? So if I'm able to do it, then you can do it. I'm like, there are no excuses. There are no excuses.
Absolutely.
So that's something, if you're doing it every day, and also in teaching, I'm working with the students of these parents with that mindset. So I have to break through in their mind and kind of offset what they have been taught at home. To say, hey, no, you can be this, you can be that. So that's a task within itself.
And to elaborate or to expand on that, your approach to STEM is equity forward.
Absolutely.
Can you share with us how that shows up in the work that you do, whether that be with your girls club or in the classroom, or just in the projects and the collaborations that you do? How do you maintain equity forward in the field of STEM? And STEM is, it's slippery slope.
It is slippery slope. What's at the forefront of my mind is this: how can it impact the world? And my students, 5th grade, look at me like, man, I'm just trying to get through the weekend. What do you mean impact the world? How can I be impactful? I'm only 10 or 11 years old. I'm like, no, you're being impactful right now in my world, you know, with your behavior. But that's neither here nor there. So to pay it forward, to keep it going, and to keep it within this special community of people in these zip codes that wouldn't get it otherwise, is I always attach to it, how will this benefit someone else? So we're putting together this app, or we're putting together this coding program. Yes, this is all fun and games, but how can this help? And I remember one thing was cyberbullying.
And today is Anti-Bullying Day.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And so cyberbullying, I was working with some high schoolers, and one of their friends were getting bullied. And one of the solutions was to create an app for it. But then they went even further. They actually created a website. Let's talk about equity forward. They created a website in which you can go and have a community of people be able to encourage you and offer you words of wisdom, but then also, you know, put in how to deal with sadness, or how to deal with bullying, and provide those hotlines and things of that nature. That's equity forward. That's like leaving that project that you just did open for someone else to take benefit of it. And then what if we have someone that come along and say, you know what, I have an idea on how I can expound on this. I think I can make it better by adding this component to it. So it's just like that little snowball. Let it roll down that hill, get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then hopefully it will touch the entire world. But starting with one person at a time is just as great.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that example that you use of cyberbullying, because that's an issue, especially in the youth,
Mhm.
and using technology to combat cyberbullying where it's taking place the most, you know.
Mhm.
So that is outstanding to hear, and that you're implementing it in your classroom with your
Mhm.
students. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I do have a few more questions of my own. However, audience, our viewers today, if you all have questions, please send them in, please ask them out loud, and we can get to answer them and continue our conversation. Any questions? Oh, we have one in the back, way in the back. Adrielle?
I'm not sure if y'all can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, we can hear you.
Right. So what are some habits that you use or do that help you stay on top of things, that help you keep you organized and accountable for?
Great question.
I have OCD.
Okay.
So-
That's a plus.
Yes, I am one of the most highly organized people you will ever meet. It is to the point where like sometimes it like will get on your nerves,
Mhm.
but it serves a great purpose because my boss loves it, and then I love it because I stay on top of everything. But one habit that I love the most is reading.
Okay.
Like there's a book called 7 Habits. That is an amazing book. And it really gets you in the mindset of success. And all the time, that's what I'm thinking. How can I be successful in whatever it is that I'm doing? And that could just be working with a group of 5th graders. Well, how can I be successful in that? What is the formula for it? So I'm always reading. I'm always trying to be knowledgeable. And I'm always trying to stay ahead of the curve because I know there's one coming.
Mhm.
And so as a habit, I do practice what I preach. If I'm telling my students to read, then I have to read as well.
Absolutely.
If I'm telling my students to think analytically, well, then I'm going to do Sudoku puzzles all night, which I love, by the way. That's my favorite pastime. I think I say it wrong. My mother tells me all the time, it's not pronounced Sudoku. I'm like, I don't care how you pronounce it. I'm going to get this 1 in this square, and I'm going to get all 9 numbers. How do you pronounce it? Because you said it's wrong. Sudoku. Okay.
Okay, team.
Sudoku. I love Sudoku. Whoever created that was very smart. But it's keeping my mind sharp.
Mhm.
Is definitely a habit that I try to do. And one of those things is through exercise. I do walk. If I'm not on that bicycle, I'm walking. I try to get my steps in. And another habit that I practice is self-care.
Okay.
I had to bring in self-care after being a director and after being over an entire school. I had to bring in self-care. I had to bring in social and emotional skills for myself.
Mhm.
And so in doing so, things just became a lot lighter. The world didn't seem so, oh, I got to do this right now. It just softened and just flowed. So those are things that I practice over anything: reading, self-care, and keeping my mind sharp.
Awesome. Who's the author for 7 Habits?
You know, I do not know.
Is it the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Yes, it is.
By Stephen Covey?
Stephen Covey.
All right. Thank you so much.
And let me offer another tool. I love Carol Dweck. Do any of you guys know who she is?
No.
Carol Dweck, Dweck. Okay, I have been teaching my students and pretty much anyone that I mentor the difference between growth mindset and fixed mindset. Those are 2 areas that I truly believe that everyone needs to learn about and identify themselves as. Growth mindset means you have a mind that is of learning. Even if you make a mistake, you have resiliency. You're going to keep going. You're going to figure out, okay, I messed up on that, but how do I fix it later?
Mhm.
Or you say, okay, ooh, I made and this is, let me speak more specifically to education. Say, for instance, you made a C on your midterm. You're like, okay, how do I do better? I don't want to just stay at a C. How do I do better? That is a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is, I'm going to take that C and I'm good. That is it. I'm going to take a C in this class and I don't want to do anything else. Not knowing that your GPA, some companies and businesses, they want to know where your GPA is when you graduate from college. They want to know, do you have a 4.11 or do you have a 4.0? That extra points after that dot, that decimal, makes a big difference in whether or not they are going to hire you against a counterpart that you have that is going out for the same position. So I would say everyone needs to espouse a growth mindset and always be willing to continue to evolve in your mind and learn and grow and be better at whatever it is your craft is. But definitely don't stay in a fixed mindset. And I want to say, Ursula, that is exactly what you're dealing with. Fixed mindsets.
So I'm glad you got me. But so while I'm distributing these tablets, what are some apps that I can suggest for them to download so that they can learn more about STEM?
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, so on a beginner's level. So let me say this, when you talk about STEM, you're talking about 4 to 5 different things, right? So you have to figure out, are they in the science part of it, the tech part of it, the engineering, or the math? So if they want to be in the programming part of it, I would say go with Coder Z, because in that it's a lot of programming, but then it also hits the M in STEM and math, because you have to know angles. You have to know addition, you have to know proportion, you have to know distance, radius, diameter, all of these fundamental math things, you need to know them. And it's also quite fun too, because you're kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but you're still coding. You're not writing it out like Java, because that's completely different. And that would take me another segment to explain Java. But it is something that's fun, and it is something that's very engaging. You'll be very surprised that they would latch onto it.
Okay, so kids and adults.
Absolutely. It's an app, but it's on the computer. But however, if they do it on the broadband laptop or they do it on a Chromebook, so it will, on the tablet, it would come off as an app, which will make it more fun and more and easy to approach also. Scratch is just, everybody in the coding community know that Scratch is literally the starting point if you're trying to get into STEM, or more so in the technology part of STEM. Everyone knows to kind of start at Scratch. And then, I mean, I would also just get into communities of technology, like just ask them, they can form a community to watch the Real Housewives or something. Why not create? I mean, I'm saying these things because they're relatable. Yeah. So sorry, hello. But I'm saying it because they're relatable. You have to speak their language. It's like when I'm talking to students and they want to talk about Fortnite. I don't know anything about Fortnite. But okay, well, let's talk about it. How is it going to help you understand this author's purpose? And in a sense, how is it going to help you understand that you need this tablet so that you can stay ahead of the curve? Because in a minute, they're going to not print books. You're going to buy them on Amazon Kindle. To me, just take me out. Yeah. Take me out. I don't want you to take away publishing books. But it is so unfortunate that a lot of my students have series to books on their phones and on their tablets and not in their hands. So I would say, tell them to start a community, a connection group, to where, on Tuesdays we meet for an hour and this is what we do. Make it fun for them and be like, the kids can be over there, we can be over here. I mean, that helps too, because sometimes, I'm not a parent, I can't tell you, but I know as an educator, I look forward to my ancillary time where I get to go and sit with the other teachers and we work on something, because if not, you're talking to little bitty humans all day. Yeah. So just, make it relatable for them. Awesome. Yeah, bring it back to them.
Great question. Molly?
Question. Were you part of the Scholars Academy when you were here?
I was not. I was not. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even know what that is.
Oh.
That's why I was able to quickly say I was not. Because
I'm still doing my research. I just know that it's like a honors for STEM.
Okay.
Honors program.
See, remember, I wasn't even, I was doing STEM-like things, but my head was not in STEM. It was in psychology.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Any more?
Technology is STEM.
It is.
It is. Now,
Say it's not STEM.
well, see, I'm glad you said that now, because back then it was not. It was not considered widely, let me say that. It was not widely considered to be a part of STEM.
Mhm.
It wasn't, but now, absolutely. You know, some people would even get offended if you do not associate them as them being a psychologist or even a researcher. You know, they would get offended if you do not associate them. So, yes, you're absolutely right.
I've heard a lot of people say they like to call psychology like dipping your toes into STEM, and I'm like, no, it's psychology.
No, it's immersing. You're fully immersing.
It has research, it has everything
Experiments.
STEM involved.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And that, I would say that's where my love for data came in at.
Mhm.
And aggregating data or disaggregating it and looking at it, I was like, why do I like statistics? Like, you know, it was just certain things that I liked about psychology, but I was like, I'm not being a psychologist, Mom. But, you know, it lended itself over into things that I do now because of those skills that I learned in my, you know, as I was getting my education in psychology, I'm actually applying them when I'm using STEM and also when I'm teaching.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
definitely,
Absolutely.
yes,
Thank
all
you.
the way.
These are great questions, y'all. We have 10 more minutes left, 9 more minutes left. If we want to answer some more, we can do that. If not, I have one more question for you,
Okay.
and that may wrap up the session. If not, we can still stay here and have dialogue. But my question for you is, Ms. Young, when you look at what gets you up in the morning, what is your why?
Mm.
Why do you do what you do? Why do you keep doing what you do?
I used to be able to answer this question promptly. Now it is a multitude of things that gets me up. It is my future, actually, that gets me up because I know that I have put goals in place and I want to see the fruition of those goals. So I get up and put my coffee on and go to Starbucks and I get to work because I know there are things that I want to do. So it makes it easy for me to get out of bed. And one important thing that I've done to switch my mentality, I no longer think or do things for other people. And let me be very careful when I say that. I do things for other people because I know I'm placed here on this earth to help people. However, that is not the dominant factor of me. The first thing that I look at is Dominique okay?
Yeah.
And is Dominique happy with the progression of her life? Am I making those choices that are going to help me get to those goals? If that answer is no, I will gladly give you my resignation letter. I will gladly walk away from this relationship. I will gladly end this connection because it is not of benefit for Dominique. Because here's why, and I'm going to bring it back full circle. If Dominique is not okay, then I can't be okay for anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't make an impact on the world, which is a goal of mine.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Dominique Young. It's been a
You're
pleasure.
welcome.
And that is our CLC. From McKinsey Q&A. Good, no questions?
Yeah, no.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. Please feel free to hang out for a bit, grab some more food or some snacks. And we hope to see y'all next week. We have 2 CLCs next week in our fall bash. Hope that you all can come attend. We will be giving out laptops and tablets at the fall bash.
Please go.
Yes, anything free, especially a tablet, I'm there. So we hope that y'all are able to make it next week to our IT CLC, our mock interview series, and our fall bash. And thank y'all so much for this time, for taking the time to meet with Ms. Dominique Young. I hope y'all gained something. I've gained a lot from this, and continue to take care, be safe, and be well. See y'all soon.
Oh, thank you guys. You're awesome.
Bye, everybody.